Oh Lord Jesus, is that blood, sir? Sir, are you, oh my God. Them babies. Maya Williams staggered back a step, her shoes skidding on the slick Harlem pavement behind the diner. The trash bag in her hand dropped to the ground with a heavy thud. She stood frozen for a split second, blinking rain out of her eyes, trying to process what she was seeing. A man, pale, bleeding, leaning against the brick wall, clutching two tiny crying babies beneath a rain-soaked coat. Her heart thundered in her chest. She stepped closer. Sir, can you hear me? The man's lips parted, but the words were faint. Don't call police. They'll take them. The babies wailed louder. One coughed. The other hiccuped in a high-pitched, panicked cry. Maya's breath caught. The babies couldn't be more than a few weeks old. And this man, whoever he was fading fast. She yanked her phone out. 911? No. No cops. Something in his voice, in his desperation, pulled her back. She didn't trust cops either, not after what they let happen to her mama. Her eyes darted up and down the alley. No one in sight, but she couldn't carry a grown man and two infants alone. Maya spun on her heel and sprinted to the apartment building next door, slipping slightly on the wet sidewalk. She pounded on the first door she saw, breath ragged. Help! Somebody, please! There's a man, he's bleeding two babies. Please! The door creaked open. A shadowy figure squinted out. Who the hell? Maya? Mrs. Carroll, Maya gasped. I need help. There's a man hurt, he's got babies, I can't carry them alone. Mrs. Carroll's expression twisted. You out here at midnight bringing bloody strangers into our building? Are you high? No, please just help me get them inside. The woman slammed the door. Maya turned and ran to the next floor, banging again. Another door cracked open. A man in a sleeveless undershirt leaned out. Sir, please, he's hurt. And the babies, Maya begged. He looked her up and down with disgust. Get your trash out of here. Y'all always bringin' drama. We don't need none of that around here. He slammed the door. Maya's fists trembled. She banged harder. Please, just help me get them off the street. Somebody. A door down the hall burst open and a woman stepped out. Girl, what the hell you screamin' about? It's 3 in the damn mornin'. Maya turned to her, eyes pleading. I just need help, he's hurt, and the babies just help me carry them. The woman narrowed her eyes. Why don't you call the cops like a normal damn person? He said not to, he's scared. Probably on drugs or wanted for something. The woman sneered. Y'all always protecting trash. Not my problem. Then, with a final shove, the woman pushed Maya back. Maya lost her footing on the wet tile and fell hard, her elbow scraping against the sharp corner of the stairs. Pain flared. Her lips split on impact. Tears welled in her eyes, not from pain, but from rage, from humiliation. No one was coming. Maya dragged herself up, blood dripping from her lip. Her heart still thudding in her ears. She stumbled back out into the alley. The babies were still crying. The man, Vincent, was unconscious now, head slumped, coat slipping off one shoulder. She knelt beside him, her hand trembling as she pulled the coat tighter around the infants. Okay, she whispered through clenched teeth. Ain't nobody helping us, so I'm it. She ran to the edge of the alley, flagged down a yellow cab with both arms. The driver slowed, then nearly drove off when he saw the scene. Please, Maya shouted. I'll pay double. He's hurt. There are babies. The man swore in Spanish but got out to help. Between the two of them, they loaded Vincent into the back seat, the babies in her arms. Rain continued to pour, soaking Maya to the bone. By the time they reached her building in the Bronx, Vincent was cold and barely breathing. The driver helped her get him to the door, but refused to go inside. I don't want no cops asking me questions later, he muttered, then drove off. Maya wrestled with the door, shoulder pressed against the warped wood until it gave. She led them through the narrow hallway, up 3 floors, one baby in each arm, and Vincent's weight dragging behind her. She didn't stop until they were inside her tiny apartment. Vincent collapsed onto the couch with a dull thud. Maya gently laid the babies down in a laundry basket padded with blankets. Blood soaked through Vincent's shirt, staining her carpet. She wiped at her lip, still bleeding, then ran to the bathroom. Her hands flew through the medicine cabinet, gauze, peroxide, the dusty blue first aid kit from her nursing school days. She hadn't touched it in years. She returned, heart pounding, and cut away Vincent's shirt. The wound was deep, a graze along his ribs, but it missed vital organs. She cleaned it, wincing every time he moaned. "Don't die," she whispered. "Not after all this." She stitched the gash with shaky fingers, tied it off, and pressed gauze firmly against it. Then, finally, she collapsed onto the floor beside the babies, her back against the wall, head spinning. The girl Sienna slept now, fists curled. The boy Lorenzo still whimpered, so she pulled him closer. Her lip throbbed, her elbow ached. She wiped blood off her chin. This wasn't her plan. None of it. But she'd be damned if she let them die alone in a back alley. No one helped her. No one helped her mama. So tonight she helped them, and she'd deal with the rest tomorrow. If you felt Maya's pain, hit like to stand with her and drop your city in the comments. You never know who's watching with you nearby. Maya opened her eyes to the sound of crying. Not the usual neighbor's baby upstairs or some drunk stumbling in from the street, but the sharp, piercing wails of real, helpless infants just feet away. She sat up slowly, her back sore from sleeping on the floor, hair still damp from the night before. The faint light of early morning poured in through her cracked blinds, painting pale slashes across the tiny living room. She blinked and looked over. The laundry basket turned cradle was shaking slightly. Lorenzo was wide awake, face red, fists pumping the air. Sienna stirred beside him, eyes still closed, brow furrowed like she was dreaming of something serious. All right. I hear you, little man," Maya muttered, crawling toward them. She reached for the formula she'd set aside. Warmed with a bowl of hot water. "Let's see if y'all still remember how to eat." As she fed them, her eyes kept flicking back to the couch. Vincent hadn't moved. His chest rose, barely. The blood on his bandage had dried overnight, but the edges of the gauze were tinted rust brown. His skin looked paler in the daylight, but not deathly. Still, something about the way he clung to sleep made her uneasy. She stared at him. What kind of man ends up bleeding in an alley, holding two babies? And why the hell had she dragged him into her home? "You better not be a murderer," she mumbled under her breath, "or a damn fool who got caught in the wrong mess." She burped the babies, laid them gently back in the basket, then stood and went to the kitchen. She didn't have much, but she found 2 eggs, a slice of leftover cornbread, and a bag of grits from God knows when. Enough to eat. Enough to think. Her elbow ached from where she'd hit the stair corner, and her lip had swollen a little, but she ignored it. A bit of pain was nothing. She'd had worse. She was halfway through her coffee when a low groan pulled her back to the couch. Vincent shifted. His eyes opened, sluggish, fogged, but open. He blinked slowly, like trying to remember what year it was. "Where?" he whispered, voice raw. "My place," Maya said from across the room. "Bronx. Top floor walk-up. You owe me 3 staircases and a busted lip." Vincent tried to sit, but Maya was beside him before he could move. Don't be stupid. You're stitched and barely patched. Just breathe." His gaze fell on her, confused. "The babies." Still breathing, still loud. She gestured toward the basket. "You got lucky." He looked toward them, his jaw trembling. "Thank God." There was a long pause. Maya crossed her arms. "You want to tell me who the hell you are now?" Vincent blinked slowly. "I can't." "Oh, you can. You just won't." He looked away. Maya scoffed and stood. "I carried you through Harlem in the middle of the night. Risked my damn neck. Got cursed out by 3 neighbors. One shoved me down the stairs. So, if you think you gonna lay here and play the silent game, I'm sorry," he said quietly. That stopped her. I wasn't trying to pull anyone in," he continued, voice hoarse. "I was just trying to disappear." "Well, you failed," she muttered. Another pause. Then, "What's your name?" He hesitated. "Vincent." Maya narrowed her eyes. "And theirs?" He turned his face toward the basket. a shadow of warmth flickering across his otherwise tired features. Sienna. And Lorenzo. They yours? Yes. Where's their mama? Vincent didn't answer. His hand curled slightly on the couch. Maya let the question hang. Some wounds didn't need picking right away. Instead, she leaned against the wall, arms folded. I was gonna be a nurse once, she said softly. Had the grades. Got accepted, even. But then Mama got sick. Didn't have insurance. I dropped out, took care of her till she died. Vincent looked at her, eyes surprisingly clear now. I'm sorry, he said. Yeah, well, life ain't sorry for nobody. She looked at him, studied his face. You don't look like you from around here. I'm not. And the coat? Those shoes? Those ain't thrift shop. No. She tilted her head. So, what is it? Rich man in trouble? Vincent didn't reply. He just stared at the ceiling, jaw clenched. I need to know if I'm hiding a victim, Maya said evenly. Or harboring a criminal. He looked at her, voice low. I'm a father. It wasn't an answer, but it was enough for now. She sighed and turned away. Well, father, you just bought yourself some time. You, and them babies. She glanced at the clock. 7:12 a.m. Time to figure out how to survive the next day without drawing attention. Time to clean up the blood. Time to find more formula. Time to pray no one knocks on that door. Again, Maya looked out the window, watching the sun rise behind the haze of city steam. You better be worth this mess, Vincent, she whispered. Because I ain't got room for regret. She turned back toward the living room, toward the man and the babies she never planned for, but somehow couldn't walk away from. Maya kept the blinds closed all day. She moved like a shadow in her own apartment, careful with every step. Vincent remained on the couch, silent and still most of the morning, waking only to drink water or offer a soft word to his children. He never asked for much. He never explained much, either. Maya didn't push. She focused on keeping them all afloat. By midday, the formula ran low. Sienna was fussier than usual, and Lorenzo had a rash forming near his neck. Maya had no choice. She grabbed her hoodie, shoved $28 in cash into her pocket, and slipped out the door with a hat pulled low over her braids. The bodega on the corner had a few cans of formula, overpriced but better than nothing. She grabbed diapers too, and a bottle of rubbing alcohol. On the way back, she noticed it. A black SUV parked at the corner, its windows tinted, engine still running. It hadn't been there when she left. She slowed her steps, kept her face down, heart pounding harder with every yard. No one got out. No one rolled down a window, but she felt eyes, the kind that knew what they were looking for. She quickened her pace, turned the corner, and ducked into the laundromat for cover. She stayed there for 15 minutes, pretending to fold a stranger's shirt while peeking through the front glass. The SUV never drove off. Maya's stomach twisted. This wasn't coincidence. Someone was watching. She exited through the back alley, clutching the bags close to her chest, and snuck up the fire escape, her boots slipping on the cold metal rungs. By the time she reached her apartment, her hands were shaking. Inside, Vincent was sitting upright. She froze at the sight of him standing weak, leaning on the back of the couch, but alert. His eyes locked onto hers. You saw something. She didn't answer right away. Just nodded. A black SUV, she said quietly. Corner of the block. Been sitting there. Vincent closed his eyes, jaw tense. They found me. Who? He opened his mouth, then shut it again. He dropped back onto the couch, exhausted by the effort. Maya slammed the bag onto the kitchen counter. I need answers, Vincent. I don't care if you a Mafia prince or a Wall Street crook, people looking for you, and now they're looking at me too. He looked up at her slowly. You could walk away. No one would blame you. Maya took a step forward, voice trembling with fury. You think that's who I am? That I leave 2 babies and a bleeding man to be hunted in the streets? He looked at her with something like awe, or maybe regret. I didn't want this for you, he said softly. Too late. She rubbed her face, then pulled the formula from the bag. I grew up watching people turn their backs. When my mama was sick, no one came. When my sister died, they called it a statistic. And now, Now I got a chance to do something different. So don't ask me to run." Vincent's eyes were glassy. "I won't." Maya fed the babies in silence, the atmosphere tense, the air thick with things unsaid. Then, after Sienna finally fell asleep in her lap, Vincent whispered, "They think I'm dead." Maya looked up. "Anthony, my second in command." He turned, had my wife followed, had her killed, and when I found out, he tried to do the same to me. Maya's mouth went dry. "My father built the Moretti name. I tried to leave it behind when Sophia got pregnant, but Anthony saw that as weakness. Betrayal. And now?" Maya asked. "Now, he runs the family. Or he thinks he does. And you? I need time to contact someone who's still loyal, someone who'll listen." Maya exhaled, low and slow. "Well, lucky for you, I know how to buy time." He looked at her, confused. She smiled bitterly. "Been doing it my whole life." He chuckled just barely. The sound felt strange in her small apartment, like something almost human breaking through all the fear. She checked the locks, pulled the shades tighter, and as night fell over the Bronx again, she whispered to the darkness, "You messin' with the wrong damn waitress." The Bronx settled into an uneasy quiet that night, the kind that made Maya check the locks twice, then a third time just because her nerves wouldn't let her stop. The babies were finally asleep, curled up like tiny commas in their makeshift cradle, and Vincent was resting again, if you could call tense, shallow breathing rest. Maya paced the living room with slow, deliberate steps. Her apartment was small, but tonight it felt like a cage. Every creak in the hallway made her stiffen. Every car door slamming outside set off alarms in her chest. She wasn't used to fear like this. Life had thrown plenty at her before: poverty, loss, loneliness, but not this kind of fear, not the kind that had teeth. She paused beside the window and eased the blinds open with 2 fingers. The street below looked normal. Quiet. A lamp flickered near the corner where the black SUV had been earlier. But the car itself was gone. Still, she didn't feel safe. She turned around and nearly jumped. Vincent was awake, sitting upright, one hand pressed against his side. "You shouldn't be walking," she whispered sharply. "Or sitting. Or doing anything but not dying." He almost smiled. "I'm not dying. You almost did." Silence passed between them, not awkward, just heavy. Maya moved closer, keeping her voice low. "Tell me everything you didn't tell me earlier." Vincent let his head rest against the back of the couch. He looked older suddenly, like pain and grief had carved lines into him overnight. "My father ran the Moretti family for 30 years, he said quietly. "New York, New Jersey, a few things overseas. I never wanted that life. I studied finance, tried to make something clean for myself, but being born into a family like mine, you don't get to walk away." His breathing hitched. Maya waited. "I took over after my father died. I kept things controlled, contained, until Sophia." His voice softened when he said her name, a tenderness that almost startled Maya. "She wanted out. We both did. But Anthony, my father's protege, saw her as a threat. He wanted control. He wanted everything." "And he killed her?" Maya asked gently. Vincent's jaw clenched. He made it look like postpartum complications, but I saw the reports, the inconsistencies. I confronted him, and that night, men came after me. Maya felt her throat tighten. "And the babies? He didn't know about them. I didn't tell anyone they'd been born. I wanted to protect them, to disappear before Anthony realized they were alive." Maya took a slow breath in, then out. "So now he thinks he killed all 3 of you?" "Yes. And if he finds out he didn't, he won't stop until he finishes what he started." Maya rubbed her forehead. "Lord, why my life always gotta be the one catching folks in trouble?" Vincent met her eyes. "You should walk away." "Stop saying that," she snapped. "I ain't walking nowhere. These babies didn't ask for this. You didn't ask for this. And ain't nobody else stepping up." He lowered his gaze. "You're putting yourself in danger." "I've been in danger," Maya said, voice soft but sharp. "Just a different kind. And you know what? Doing something right for once feels better than being scared." Vincent looked at her with a gentleness she didn't expect. You're stronger than you think, she snorted. I know I am, but thank you anyway. She stood and crossed the room, kneeling beside the babies to adjust the blanket. Sienna curled toward her hand, seeking warmth. Lorenzo made a soft grunting noise. Vincent watched, something unreadable flickering behind his eyes. You're good with them, he murmured. Babies ain't complicated, she replied. They cry, they eat, they sleep. He smiled faintly. Fair point. She tucked the blanket in tighter. You got anyone left who can help you? Someone not trying to kill you? One, Vincent said after a long pause. But he's careful. He won't respond unless he knows I'm alive, and he won't come unless he knows the children are safe. Well, Maya said, we just gotta keep you alive long enough to reach him. A sudden thud outside made both of them freeze. Maya moved to the door silently, pressing her ear to the wood. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Someone walking down the hall. She looked back at Vincent. He tensed. The footsteps stopped directly outside her door. Maya's heart slammed against her ribs. She motioned to Vincent to stay still. Then the footsteps moved again past her apartment, down the stairs, then out the front door. Maya waited until she heard the street noise return. She exhaled shakily. I hate this. I hate all of this. Vincent's voice was soft. I know. She leaned her forehead against the door for a moment before returning to the living room. Her nerves were frayed, her mind racing. Okay, she said, clapping her hands once to steady herself. We need a plan. We're got it. Vincent blinked. A plan? Yes, she said. 'Cause hiding and hoping ain't strategy. She began pacing again. You need to contact your loyal guy. We need supplies. We need to watch the street. And we need to make sure nobody around here sees you. Vincent looked almost amused. You're organizing this like a mission. This is a mission, she shot back. A survival mission. He nodded slowly, admiration softening his expression. All right, what do you need from me? First, Maya said, pointing at him. You stay alive. Vincent chuckled weakly. I can try. Second, you tell me exactly what Anthony's people look like, so I know what to watch for. He described them, how they moved, how they dressed, the kind of cars they used. Maya committed every detail to memory. This wasn't her world, but she was learning fast. By the end of the night, she turned off the lamp and sat beside the babies, exhaustion pulling her down. You okay? Vincent asked softly. No, she answered honestly. But I will be. She closed her eyes. Vincent watched her for a long time before whispering, Thank you, Maya. She didn't reply. She was already drifting to sleep, her last thought a prayer she didn't know she still remembered. Please, just let us make it till morning. Maya spent the next day like a soldier prepping for war. She didn't have weapons, or money, or any special skills beyond survival, but survival had been her specialty since she was 17. By mid-morning, she dragged old furniture to block off the front window and used duct tape to seal the cracks around the fire escape. She even moved the couch slightly to expose the creaky floorboard near the door, her own makeshift alarm if someone stepped on it. Vincent watched all of it from the couch, his expression unreadable. He still looked pale, but the fever had broken sometime after midnight. You sure you weren't in the military? He asked. Nope, Maya replied without looking up. Just been poor and black in America long enough to know the rules. He winced. Not from his injury, but from the truth of it. She pulled out a marker and began scribbling a quick map of the building on an old pizza box. There's a fire exit on the roof, but it's rusted. If we need to run, we use the back hallway. I can distract whoever's coming. You take the babies and go. You're not running with us? I'll catch up. Vincent frowned. That's not a plan. It is if you don't have better options. Vincent opened his mouth to argue but stopped himself. Instead, he lowered his gaze and nodded. Maya stood and stretched her back, sighing. I'm gonna head to the corner store again. I need bleach, batteries, canned food, and a burner phone. Vincent looked at her sharply. Don't use cards. Itsy. I wasn't born yesterday, she said with a small smirk. Cash only. She grabbed her hoodie, paused by the door, and added, Keep the kids close. And if anyone knocks, don't answer. Not even if they say my name. I won't, Vincent promised. Maya left, blending into the cold gray of the Bronx streets. Vincent waited 10 minutes after she left. Then, with slow, painful effort, he reached under the couch cushion. Wrapped in a handkerchief was a small prepaid flip phone, the kind with no GPS, no smart features, nothing trackable. He'd hidden it in the alley with the babies, tucked in the diaper bag, just in case he survived. Now was the time to use it. He flipped it open, fingers trembling. He pressed the code, just 5 digits, 71438. The screen blinked, no signal. He stood, biting back a groan as pain flared through his side, and moved to the kitchen window. There, near the metal drain pipe, the signal flickered to life. 1 bar, then 2. He typed 1 word, alive, then pressed send. Nothing else. No name, no number, no location. If Marco was still loyal, he'd understand. Vincent shut the phone, wrapped it again, and slipped it into the lining of his coat. Then he turned around. Maya was standing in the doorway. Her arms were folded. Her eyes didn't blink. "I knew you were hiding something," she said, coldly. Vincent didn't speak. Maya walked forward, slow and deliberate, her boots echoing on the worn floor. "A phone? After everything I said? You know they can track that, right? It's untraceable, I swear. Untraceable, like you were dead? Like your wife died of complications?" Her voice rose. "I let you into my home. I've been feeding your kids, bleeding for your secrets, and you still hiding things from me? I didn't want to endanger you," Vincent said quietly. "You already did." She turned away, pacing the small space like a storm, looking for something to break. Vincent sat back down, exhaling slowly. "That message, it was for Marco. He's not like the rest of them. He served under my father. He's old school, loyal." Maya shook her head. "And you hope he still is?" Vincent nodded. "Yes, I do." She stared at him, breathing hard. "You keep acting like you still got power, like this is some chessboard, and you're moving pieces. But out here, in this neighborhood, you ain't the king anymore. You're just a man with babies and stitches, hoping not to bleed out before breakfast." That stung. He didn't respond. Maya stepped closer, voice lower now. "I need honesty, Vincent. Not protection, not promises. Honesty. 'Cause if you get caught, it's not just you. It's those kids. It's me." Vincent met her eyes. "For what it's worth, I never expected you." "Yeah," Maya said, swallowing thickly. "Me neither." A beat passed. Then, from the corner of the room, Sienna whimpered. Maya turned, walked over, and scooped the baby girl into her arms with a natural grace that surprised even her. She held her close, bouncing slightly, humming a soft melody her mama used to sing. Vincent watched, something warm flickering beneath all the pain. "You sing good," he said. Maya shot him a look. "Don't try to charm me. You still on probation." He smiled faintly. "Fair enough." Wazation. She sat on the couch across from him, still cradling Sienna, who had begun to calm. "I want 2 things tomorrow," she said. 1, we start planning what happens if that Marco guy shows up. 2, you tell me what happens if Anthony finds us first. Vincent nodded slowly. "Deal." Maya looked down at the baby girl in her arms. "She's got your eyes," she said softly. Vincent swallowed. "I hope she doesn't have my life." Maya didn't answer, but her silence said enough. They both knew the odds. They both knew the clock had started ticking. The sun dipped behind the buildings early, casting long shadows across the neighborhood by 4:30 p.m. November in the Bronx always crept in that way, gray skies, earlier darkness, and the hum of radiator pipes preparing for a long winter. Inside Maya's apartment, tension buzzed like a fluorescent bulb on its last leg. She stood at the table, scribbling lists on a paper bag with a dull pencil. Exit plans, backup food, supplies for the babies, burner phone schedule. Across the room, Vincent rested with a heating pad under his ribs. Sienna curled up on his chest, sound asleep. His hand gently stroked her back, rhythmic and slow. He didn't look like a Mafia heir. He looked like a father. But Maya didn't let herself forget what he was. "I need you to walk me through it again," she said, not looking up. "Marco?" Vincent asked. "Yeah." Vincent adjusted slightly. "He was my father's oldest friend, fought for him, cleaned up messes, the kind of man who'd slit throats in the morning and read bedtime stories at night." "Charming," Maya muttered. He disappeared after my father died. Said the new regime wasn't his kind of war. But I kept a line open, just in case. And you think he'll come if he knows you're alive? Vincent looked down at Sienna. If he still believes in what my father stood for? Yes. Maya underlined the name Marco 3 times on the paper bag. If he shows up, we don't trust him until I say so. Vincent raised a brow. You're in charge now? I've been in charge, she said. You just noticed. Vincent chuckled lightly, which triggered a cough. Maya rushed over. Stop laughing, stupid, she scolded, handing him water. You're not allowed joy until you heal. I'll try to be miserable then, he whispered, sipping carefully. A soft knock came at the door. Both froze. Maya immediately reached for the baseball bat leaning near the fridge. Stay quiet, she mouthed. Vincent pulled the blanket over himself and Sienna. His hand instinctively went to the small knife Maya had left near the couch for emergencies. Maya crept to the peephole and looked out. It was just a kid, Jamal. The boy from 2 doors down, 10 years old, always barefoot for some reason, and always smelling faintly of barbecue chips. She opened the door slightly, 1 foot blocking the frame. What you want, baby? She asked, voice gentle. Miss Maya, Jamal said, eyes wide. I saw a man in your window last night. Maya's stomach dropped. Ain't no man in my window, she said quickly. I saw him, Jamal insisted. He was holding a baby. I ain't tell nobody yet. Yet? Maya's voice sharpened. Jamal leaned in. My mama say secrets cost something. Maya stared at him. You blackmailin' me, Jamal? He shrugged. Depends. You got hot Cheetos? Maya blinked. Then, despite herself, she laughed. A loud, full laugh. Jamal smiled. And grape soda. Go home, fool, she said, tossing her head. You ain't seen nothin'. I'll drop off your bribe later. He gave her a finger salute and ran down the hall. Maya shut the door and locked it. Vincent raised an eyebrow from the couch. We're being extorted by a 4th grader, Maya said flatly. Welcome to organized crime, Vincent replied. She walked over and collapsed into the armchair, rubbing her temples. This building's too small. Too nosy. Vincent looked at her seriously. We can leave if you want. Find another spot. And move you while you're half dead? With babies? On foot? No. She leaned forward, resting her arms on her knees. We hold out here, but it means we can't trust anyone. Not even sweet little Jamal with his chip breath and threats. I'll be ready if we need to move, Vincent said. Soon. Maya looked at him. You think you're recovering faster than you are. I have to, he said simply. Because they're not going to stop. If Marco doesn't come, Anthony will. Maya nodded slowly. Then let's hope the right one knocks first. Just then, Lorenzo began to cry from the laundry basket. Vincent moved to get up. Maya stopped him. Sit down. She picked up the baby, rocked him gently, and sang under her breath. Vincent watched her, chest tight. You really never had kids? He asked. Maya smiled softly. Not yet. Maybe never. Life got complicated. He nodded, his face unreadable. You'd be good at it. Maya didn't respond right away. Then, I'm just trying to do better than the world did for me. Silence again, but not the heavy kind. The kind that made room for truth. The next morning began with the low hum of the radiator and the smell of stale coffee. Maya stood by the window, arms crossed, watching condensation gather on the glass. The city outside moved like it always did, indifferent. Hurried. Loud, but her small apartment was thick with tension. Like a kettle about to whistle. I'm going out, she said over her shoulder. Vincent looked up from the couch where he was gently rocking Lorenzo. Where? Corner store, she replied, tying her scarf. I promised Jamal hot Cheetos and grape soda in exchange for his silence. Gotta pay the troll toll. You think he'll keep quiet? I think he's 10, she said. He'll stay quiet. Until he doesn't. Vincent didn't argue. Maya stepped out, eyes scanning the hallway. She moved with care, head low, feet light, not from fear, but from the awareness of what it meant to be watched. Downstairs, she grabbed the snacks, a small bottle of Tylenol for the babies, and a pack of wipes. She took the long way back, circling the block once. That's when she noticed it. Same SUV, different angle. This time, parked across from the laundromat, not moving, engine silent, but the feeling was the same, like something heavy sitting on her chest. She ducked into the bodega next door, pretending to browse. From the reflection of the cooler door, she watched. A man stepped out of the passenger side. Tall, white, slick hair, black coat. He didn't enter a store, didn't light a cigarette, just stood there, looking at the building across the street. Her building. Maya's hands clenched around the cold bottle of soda. She counted to 10, then walked out the back of the bodega and took the alley home, heart pounding in her throat. Back at the apartment, Vincent was trying to stand without groaning. He'd been practicing every hour, holding onto the counter, pushing against the wall, bending and straightening his legs. It wasn't about feeling better, it was about being ready, because they wouldn't get a warning next time. He winced as pain shot up his side and gripped the table for support. His face tightened, but he stayed on his feet. Sweat beaded along his hairline. He didn't notice Maya come in until she slammed the door behind her. "Hey," he hissed. "Babies. They're fine," she snapped. "We are not." He turned to face her. "What happened?" "Your friends came back." Vincent went still. "You're sure?" One of them got out this time. Just stood there, didn't blink, like he was waiting for something. "Adid." Vincent's jaw tensed. "They know I'm alive. Or they're not sure and trying to smoke you out." She tossed the snacks on the table and pulled the shades down tighter. "Either way, they're circling. You got backup coming or not?" "I don't know," he admitted. "That ain't good enough." Vincent sat, breathing heavier than before. "I need a few more days. If Marco saw the message, he'll be here." "And if he didn't?" Maya asked. Vincent didn't answer. She knelt to check Sienna's temperature. "We're out of time." He watched her closely. "You still have a way out. You really don't know me, huh?" she said, not looking up. "My mom used to say, ain't no safe place for a black woman but the one she builds herself. I built this. I ain't leaving it behind." He watched her hands as she cradled the baby, then looked around the room, the handmade curtains, the chipped paint, the shoe rack doubling as a pantry. She hadn't said it, but this apartment was her safety net, her fortress, and now he'd dragged war to its doorstep. "You ever lose someone?" he asked suddenly. She looked at him, surprised. "You really want to go there?" He nodded. She leaned back, exhaled. "My sister, Keisha. Car crash. Hit and run. She was 15. I was 17. She was the smart one. The dreamer. Always wanted to be a poet." Vincent's eyes softened. "I'm sorry." Maya shrugged, but her voice cracked. "I still keep her notebook. Sometimes I read it when the world feels too loud. He looked down. "I lost Sophia in a hospital bed. I held her hand, and she was there. Then she wasn't. And all the money, all the power in the world couldn't change that." Silence. "I never believed in God after that," Vincent whispered. Maya glanced toward the window, voice quiet. "I never stopped. I just started praying smaller." They looked at each other, two broken people balancing babies and blood on the edge of survival. Then Maya stood. "I'm not afraid of men in suits. I'm afraid of doing nothing and letting evil win." Vincent nodded. "Then we fight smart." Maya raised an eyebrow. "You can barely fight upright." He grinned. "Despite everything, give me a day. Maybe 2. Maya rolled her eyes, but her smirk gave her away. She reached over, handed him the baby. "You're on bottle duty. I gotta reinforce the fire escape." Vincent took the child carefully. As Maya disappeared into the bedroom to fetch rope and nails, he looked down at Sienna's face, so small, so perfect. He kissed her forehead. "We're gonna make it, little one," he murmured. "If it kills me." The city was a graveyard of secrets if you knew where to look. That's what Marco's message said, not in plain words but in code. A folded scrap of paper left in Maya's mailbox, slipped between a past-due electric bill and a coupon for fried chicken. A single sentence. "Service canceled. Address rescheduled to 1987 Boston." Vincent read it twice, then again, jaw tight. Maya crossed her arms. "So, riddle time again?" He looked up. "It's Marco. 1000. 987 Boston means Street Elmo's Church on Boston Road. It's where my father used to hold private meetings. Nobody's touched that building in years. And, service canceled? No guns. It's a peace meet. At least, that's what it's supposed to mean. Maya paced. It sounds like a trap. 31. It might be. You're not going alone. Vincent shook his head. I wouldn't make it down the stairs without coughing blood. Maya bit her lip, then sighed. Then I'm coming with you. He looked up sharply. You're not. I am, she snapped. We don't have the luxury of pride. If you fall over mid-sentence, someone needs to be there to finish the conversation. He wanted to argue, but she was right. The church stood like a skeleton at the end of Boston Road, boarded windows and graffiti-smeared brick stretching up into the gray afternoon. The cross had long since fallen, rusted in two, and the bell tower was missing half its frame. They entered through a side door Vincent remembered from childhood still loose at the hinge. Maya stayed close, one hand near her coat pocket, where she'd hidden a small pocket knife. Vincent walked slowly, favoring his left side, every step a reminder of his own fragility. Inside, dust floated like ghosts through the sunbeams. The pews were broken. A hymn book lay open on the floor, pages yellowed and curled. Then a voice echoed from the altar. Well, I'll be damned. Thought you were a ghost, son. Maya turned sharply. An older black man in a tan trench coat stepped into the light, cane tapping against the stone. Gerald, Vincent breathed. Still remember my name? Gerald grinned. I changed your diapers once. Back when your pops ran things with muscle and morals. Vincent smiled faintly. He always trusted you, and he was right to. I still drive. Just a little slower now. Maya narrowed her eyes. You Marco's messenger? Gerald tipped his hat to her. I see she's the one with fire. Good. You'll need it. He looked back at Vincent. Marco needs to see your face. He won't believe you're alive until he looks you in the eye, but he's cautious, can't blame him. Word on the street is that Anthony put out another hit. Quiet one. No paper trail. Vincent's expression darkened. He knows I'm still breathing. Maybe. Maybe he's just cleaning up loose ends. Either way, Marco wants a meet. Tomorrow. Dusk. Pier 7. Vincent shook his head. Public. Gerald raised a brow. That's the point. No one's gonna start shooting with tourists eating hot dogs 50 feet away. Maya scoffed. You clearly don't know how messy things get when power's involved. Gerald looked at her with a glint of admiration. You remind me of my wife. Kept me alive longer than I had any right to be. Vincent stepped forward. Tell Marco I'll be there. Gerald leaned closer. Come clean, boy. Are you really ready? 'Cause if this goes south, you won't get a second chance. Vincent's voice was steady. I'm already out of chances. Gerald nodded once, then turned and disappeared through the side hallway like a shadow returning to the earth. Back at the apartment, the babies were still sleeping. The silence felt heavier now, loaded with a deadline. Maya dropped her coat, kicked off her boots, and sank into the couch beside Vincent. I don't trust it, she said. I don't either. Then why go? Vincent looked at her. Eyes tired but sharp. Because, if I don't, this never ends. Human. She rubbed her forehead. I'll scout the pier in the morning. Alone. Vincent frowned. Too dangerous. I blend in better than you, she said. You walk like a man who's seen war. I walk like someone going to pick up a sandwich. He couldn't argue. She stood, crossed the room, and gently touched the babies' foreheads. Her hands lingered a moment longer than usual. When she turned back to him, there was something different in her eyes. Resolve. Fear. Yes, but buried beneath layers of steel. If anything happens to you tomorrow, she said quietly, I'm not just gonna grieve, I'm gonna finish this. Vincent looked at her like she was something sacred. And maybe, in that moment, she was. Pier 7 was alive with sound. Waves lapped against rusting pylons. Gulls cried overhead. Somewhere down the docks, a jazz saxophonist played notes that didn't quite fit the air too smooth for a day too tense. Maya arrived first. She wore a tan windbreaker, her hair tucked under a faded Mets cap. She leaned against a lamppost, pretending to scroll through her phone while her eyes scanned every figure, every corner. She'd gotten there an hour early. Walked the entire perimeter, counted the security cameras, watched who lingered too long and who pretended not to look at her. Something was off. 2 men stood too straight near the fish shack. Another kept checking his watch but never left. Too clean for dock workers, too still for tourists. She didn't like it. She returned to the apartment with her jaw tight and her nerves buzzing. Vincent was lacing his boots with a wince. Sienna babbled softly beside him, oblivious to the weight pressing down on the room. "You're not going," Maya said without preamble. Vincent looked up. "Why?" "Because it smells like a trap." The way those guys stood? Military, not mob muscle. That dock's too exposed. Vincent exhaled, slow and steady. "Marco would never." "Marco doesn't owe you anything," she snapped. "Not anymore. He might believe you're alive, but maybe he's scared. Maybe he thinks the best way to protect himself is to trade you in." "I have to go," Vincent said. Maya stared at him. "Then I'm going too." "No, don't," she warned, holding up a finger. "Don't pull the protect you line again. That train left the station 5 nights ago when you bled out on my floor and turned my life upside down." He didn't argue. At dusk, they arrived together. Maya's hands were in her coat pockets not because she was cold, but because they were clenched into fists. Vincent walked slow, but with intention. His pain masked beneath layers of practiced calm. Marco stood alone at the far end of the pier. A tall, white man in a gray coat that flapped in the wind like an old war flag. His hair had gone silver, but his eyes were sharp as glass. He watched them approach, expression unreadable. "Maya," Vincent said quietly, "stay behind me." "Nope," she replied, stepping level with him. "You fall, I pick you up." Vincent almost smiled. Almost. They stopped 6 feet from Marco. "You really are alive," Marco said, voice low. Full of something Maya couldn't name: awe, anger, grief. Vincent nodded once. "I got lucky. Luck doesn't bleed that much." Silence. Then Marco stepped forward. They embraced not like friends, but like men who had once shared bloodshed, and now shared ghosts. Maya's hand stayed near her side, just in case. Marco pulled back and looked at her. "This the woman who saved you?" Vincent nodded. "She saved more than me." Marco's eyes narrowed. "The children? They're safe." Marco's jaw twitched. "You should have told me. I couldn't risk it." "You don't think I would have protected them?" "I didn't know," Vincent said. "I don't know anything anymore." Marco looked away, out toward the harbor. "Anthony's got new men, outsiders, ex-military. No loyalty, no code. Then he's more dangerous than ever." Marco nodded slowly. "He's planning something. I don't know what. But your return throws a wrench in it." Maya finally spoke. "Then why meet here, in the open?" Marco turned to her. "Because I needed to look him in the eye. To know if he still had the stomach for war." Vincent held his gaze. "I don't." "I go." "Then you better find it," Marco said. "Because the war's already here." A beat passed. Then Marco added, quietly, "There's one more thing." Vincent stiffened. "What?" "I knew Sophia was pregnant," Marco said. "She told me. She asked me to protect the kids if anything happened. I promised her." Vincent's face paled. "You knew?" "I didn't know they'd survived, but I always hoped." Maya stepped between them, her voice ablaze. "Hoped or plotted?" Marco didn't blink. "I don't answer to you." "Maybe you should," she shot back. "I'm the one who's been risking her life while y'all been playing chess with body bags." Vincent put a hand on her shoulder. "Maya." She shook it off. "Do you trust him?" she asked. Vincent looked at Marco, then at her, and he didn't answer. Back at the apartment, the silence was louder than the city outside. Vincent sat by the window, staring at nothing, his shoulders hunched, fists clenched around the arms of the chair. He hadn't said a word since the meeting. Maya moved around him in practiced silence, checking locks, sliding furniture back in place, loading the only weapon they had. An old kitchen knife duct-taped to a curtain rod. Her jaw was tight, her voice low. "You okay?" He didn't answer. She glanced at him, waiting. Still nothing. "Look." she finally snapped. I get it. Your old friend kept secrets. Welcome to my world. People lie. People let you down. Cry it out and get over it. We don't have time for a meltdown. Vincent flinched. Not at her words, but at the truth in them. I trusted him, he said quietly. I needed to trust someone. Maya softened. You still can, just not blindly. He turned to her. You think he set us up? I think he's playing a game with too many pieces, and he's okay losing a few pawns along the way. Vincent looked down at his hands, now trembling slightly. Sophia asked him to protect them. Before she died. Again. And he didn't tell you. No, that's not loyalty, Maya said. That's control. He nodded slowly, then stood, wobbling just slightly. Maya reached out but stopped herself. Let him find his own balance. He did. They moved through the apartment together, a silent drill they'd both learned over the past week. Check the windows, secure the back entrance, prepare the hideout for the babies. They didn't talk again until Maya sat beside him on the couch. I don't think we're going to get another warning, she said. Vincent looked at her. Then we prepare for the storm. Outside, the wind picked up, whistling through the alley like a warning howl. At 2:37 a.m., Maya woke to the sound of a doorknob turning. Soft, careful, deliberate. She reached for the bat beside the bed and slid out quietly. The hallway light was off, but the moonlight through the kitchen window lit enough for her to see Vincent already up, holding the baby monitor in one hand and the duct-taped spear in the other. His eyes met hers. He nodded once. Then the door creaked open. A shadow entered, tall, male, wearing gloves and a black hoodie. Maya didn't hesitate. She swung the bat with full force, catching the intruder across the shoulder with a loud crack. He staggered back, grunting in surprise. Vincent lunged forward with surprising speed, jabbing the makeshift spear toward the man's side. It missed, slicing cloth, not skin. The man stumbled, turned to flee. But Maya was faster. She grabbed a chair and slammed it into his back as he tried to escape down the hall. He hit the floor with a thud. Groaning, she kicked him hard in the ribs. Once, twice. He stopped moving. Vincent limped forward, breath ragged. Check his face. Maya knelt, yanked back the hood. A stranger, Latino, late 30 seconds. Neck tattoo of a snake eating its own tail. She exhaled, heart racing. Not one of yours? No, he's Anthony's. That tattoo. They call themselves La Boca Negra. Anthony's private mercs. Vincent leaned against the wall. He was just scouting. No gun. No backup, which means more are coming, Maya said. She grabbed zip ties from the drawer and bound the man's wrists, then dragged him to the tub and dumped him inside. Vincent raised a brow. Interrogation or storage? Both. Oh, way. They stood over the unconscious man for a moment. Then Vincent whispered, You could have run. I told you, Maya replied, breathless. I don't run. From the nursery. Sienna began to cry. Maya wiped sweat from her brow and turned toward the sound. I got her, she said. Vincent watched her disappear into the room, her silhouette framed by the soft glow of the hallway light. He didn't know what tomorrow held, but tonight, for the first time in weeks, he felt something unfamiliar. Hope. When the intruder woke up, he was staring at peeling bathroom tile and Maya's cold eyes. She sat on the closed toilet seat across from him, arms folded, bat balanced across her lap. The man's hands were zip-tied behind him, a rag stuffed loosely in his mouth. Blood trickled from his temple. You scream, I break your jaw, she said calmly, removing the rag. He coughed and spat. Lady. You're in the wrong fight. Maya leaned forward. No. You picked the wrong house. I won. Vincent stood in the doorway, arms crossed, his shadow stretching across the grimy tub. I know that tattoo, he said. You were with my father's security team. Martinez, right? The man looked up, eyes narrowed. Was. Vincent stepped closer. So what are you now? Free agent. Martinez muttered. Bullshit, Maya snapped. You break into our place with no weapon and no backup? That's not freelance. That's obedience. Anthony's got money, Martinez said. And ambition. People follow whoever feeds them. Maya raised the bat slowly, then brought it down next to his head crack, chipping the tile. Martinez flinched. You want to know what he's planning? Fine, I'll tell you. Vincent moved in, voice cold. Talk. Martinez spat blood. Anthony's meeting with the Estrellas next week. Colombian syndicate. He's offering your territory in exchange for their muscle. He'll merge everything your father built with their pipeline. Vincent's stomach turned. He's selling us out. Martinez grinned. You ain't an us anymore. Maya interrupted. How did he know Vincent was still alive? Martinez's grin widened. Somebody saw him. On security footage. At the hospital. Guy with 2 babies, bleeding out. Vincent clenched his fists. So much for dying quietly. Maya leaned in. And Marco? What about him? Is he involved? Martinez hesitated. He's playing both sides. Meeting with Anthony in secret. Trying to survive whoever wins. That is now. That hit Vincent like a punch to the chest. No, he whispered. Marco wouldn't. He already did, Martinez hissed. He's not your father. He doesn't believe in legacy. He believes in leverage. Maya stood. Enough. She stuffed the rag back into Martinez's mouth and turned to Vincent. We need to move. Vincent stared at the wall. Marco. The man who held him as a child. The man who promised Sophia protection. Could it be true? Maya, he said slowly. What if this is all just revenge? Maya. She frowned. Whose revenge? Anthony's. Mine. Marco's. Everyone playing out old grudges while pretending it's strategy. She stepped closer, hand on his arm. Then, end the game. He looked at her. How? By doing what none of them expect. Living. They packed in silence. Diapers, formula, first aid, cash. Maya tucked a switchblade into her boot. Vincent loaded the spear into a gym bag along with canned food and baby wipes. Before they left, Maya checked on the kids. Both were sleeping soundly. Tiny hands twitching in dreams. I used to think peace meant silence, she whispered. But this noise, bottles and cries and danger, I'd take this over silence any day. Vincent touched the doorframe. This place saved me. Maya nodded. Now it's time to save ourselves. Oh. They left Martinez tied in the tub, a gag in his mouth and a note pinned to his chest. Tell your boss we're not prey. We're the storm. The hallway was quiet. Too quiet. They took the stairs slowly, Maya in front, Vincent carrying Sienna in a sling, Maya cradling Lorenzo in a blanket. Each step down felt heavier than the last. At the bottom landing, Maya paused. Something glinted under the door. She pulled Vincent back just in time. A shadow moved outside. Slow, calculated. They weren't the only ones planning to leave tonight. Maya turned to Vincent, whispering, Back up. Plan B. Vincent nodded. They headed for the fire escape. As they climbed out into the cold night, the city stretched before them wide, violent, and waiting. But Maya wasn't afraid. She'd built safety with her hands before. She could do it again. They crossed rooftops until the world blurred behind them. Vincent moved slower now. The weight of Sienna pressed to his chest. Each breath a small ache. Maya led the way through the narrow alleys and over broken fences like she was born for the shadows. She wasn't scared. Not because the danger had faded, but because fear had become useless. At 3:12 a.m., they slipped into a boarded-up laundromat on 149th. The neon sign still buzzed faintly, one letter blinking. DRY. A ghost of its old purpose. This place safe? Maya asked. Vincent nodded. My dad hid me here once. I was 12. There's a back room with a bolted door and a crawl space. Maya didn't ask why he'd needed hiding at 12. She just followed. The back room smelled like dust and mold, but it was dry, hidden, and large enough for them to lay the babies down. As Maya laid Lorenzo on an old jacket, she glanced over. Vincent had collapsed against the wall, one hand covering his ribs. You need a doctor, she said. I need revenge first, he muttered. She gave him a look. You think revenge will heal you? No, Vincent said. But it'll buy us time. By sunrise, they had a plan. We leak Martinez's intel to Marco, Maya said, sketching on the back of a takeout menu. We make it look like it came from Anthony's side, force Marco to question who he's really in bed with, Vincent added. Then we bait Anthony into revealing the merger date with the Estrellas. Catch him exposed. Ika. Problem is, Maya said, tapping the paper. We don't have reach. We don't have eyes. Vincent stared into space. We have one. She blinked. Who? Gerald, the old driver. Loyal to a fault. A man who owed Sophia and remembered the world before greed replaced honor. Maya nodded. If he's still on our side. Vincent pulled out a battered burner phone, tapped a message with shaking fingers. Need a favor. Quiet and clean. Not for me, for the ones she left behind. He hit send and waited. The babies stirred by mid-morning. Maya fed them from the last 2 bottles they had, rationing formula like gold. Vincent dozed on and off, feverish, eyes sunken. Maya sat by the window, watching pigeons fight over crumbs in the alley below. The city was still humming. Buses. Sirens. Somewhere, someone was laughing. She hated them for it. She hated the ease in their lives. The normalcy. She hated that she could see herself maybe a year ago standing in that same street. Bag of groceries in hand. Oblivious to everything but rent and bad tips. Now she had blood on her shoes, and someone else's baby in her arms. Lorenzo cooed softly and reached up to touch her cheek. She kissed his hand and closed her eyes. I didn't ask for any of this, she whispered, but she didn't put him down. At noon, the burner phone vibrated. A message. From Gerald. Marco wants a meeting. Tonight. Alone. Maya read it twice. Then said aloud, he's playing chess again. Vincent stirred. Where? She hesitated. Old greenhouse. Pelham Bay Park. Vincent sat up slowly. Pain etched deep in his face. You think it's legit? No, she said, but we're going anyway. Vincent raised an eyebrow. Maya looked at him, fierce and tired. Because if we don't take control of this now, we're just surviving. And I didn't go through all this just to keep breathing. It's after those. He gave her a slow nod. Then we go together. She almost smiled. I'd like to see you stop me. Vincent leaned forward. After this, we disappear. For real. You, me, the kids. No more running. No more ghosts. Maya met his gaze. You promise? He didn't answer with words. He just took her hand. Pelham Bay Park slept under a blanket of dying sunlight. The old greenhouse, once full of orchids and lemon trees, was now a carcass of glass and steel. Panels cracked. Ivy strangled the rusted beams. Nature had taken back what man had abandoned. Vincent stood just outside the entrance, his coat collar turned up against the wind, hands trembling not from cold, but anticipation. Pain sharpened every breath. He could feel his stitches pulling with each step. Maya scanned the area, her eyes constantly moving. She didn't trust the stillness. The silence wasn't peace, it was warning. Let me go in first, she whispered. No, Vincent said, his voice hoarse. If Marco's got something to say, he's saying it to both of us. Maya gave a short nod. Then stay close. They entered together. Inside, the air smelled of damp earth and mold. Sunlight filtered through the broken glass above, casting strange, fragmented shadows across the floor. Marco stood in the center, wearing a dark coat and leather gloves. His eyes held something Vincent hadn't seen before, not power, not control. Guilt. You came, Marco said. Vincent didn't answer.